सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है शायद। सर बहुत ही फीबल है, मतलब थोड़ा।
हाँ, अब आप करो, मैं चलाता हूँ। आप यार,
सर थोड़ा सा और तेज एक बार। क्या?
एनी प्रॉब्लम वहाँ से?
सर ऋतु सर की आवाज में आवाज नहीं आ पा रही है।
आई थिंक वो सब रिकॉर्डिंग के लिए होगा, तो ओके बोलना पड़ेगा। आई थिंक कि वो ऊपर की तरफ से
हम्म,
रिकॉर्डिंग में लेते हैं ना, परमिशन मांगता है। तो अगर परमिशन नहीं दोगे तो वॉइस रिकॉर्डिंग में देगा, या तो तुम्हें रिकॉर्डिंग बंद करोगे तब ऐसा होता है। ठीक है, कोई नहीं।
हम्म।
So have you sent the link with Ankit sir?
हाँ जी सर, आई हैव शेयर।
Okay.
ओके। सो कैन वी हैव संतोष सर? संतोष जी।
हेलो।
हाँ जी सर। सर
यस
आज
मैम।
जब तक सर ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, तो कैन वी हैव अ लिटिल बिट डिस्कशन कि आपको प्रोग्राम कैसा लग रहा है, या फिर हम एक्सपेक्टेशंस आपकी पूरी कर पा रहे हैं या नहीं?
नहीं मैम, प्रोग्राम अच्छा है, इसमें काफी कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा। काफी सारी मार्केट की चीजें हैं जो हम लोगों को नहीं पता है, टेक्नोलॉजी की चीजें हैं जो हमें नहीं पता है, या टेक्निकल कोलेबोरेशन
सर
हम कर
सर
सकते हैं।
सर जस्ट 1 मिनट, आप अपना कैमरा स्विच ऑन कर सकते हैं इफ पॉसिबल?
मैम आई एम ट्रैवलिंग, सो इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल।
ओके ओके सर, कंटिन्यू प्लीज।
हेलो। AI ML की जो क्लास मैम, उस इंटेलिजेंस के बाद काफी सीख मिल रही है। और जो आपका ये एडवांस मार्केटिंग है, इसमें भी जो है काफी सारी चीजें जो हम लोगों के लिए आगे हेल्पफुल हो सकता है अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने में, नए मार्केट को एक्सप्लोर करने में। तो सारी चीजें हेल्पफुल है मैम इसमें।
ओके ग्रेट। और आपने शायद कुछ डेटा भी शेयर करे थे अश्विन सर के साथ, हम लोग आज उसी को 4 बजे इम्प्लीमेंट
ओ,
करने वाले हैं।
ओके मैम, एक बार हम लोग देखते हैं उसमें, अगर वो काफी बेटर होगा हमारे लिए, अगर जो ये ड्राइंग और जितने भी डिजाइन है, अगर
हम्म,
AI के थ्रू या किसी टूल्स के थ्रू हमारा डेवलप हो जाए तो काफी टाइम बचेगा। ये काफी लंबी प्रोसेस होता है, काफी समय लगता है, और इसमें काफी सारे चेंजेस कस्टमर कराता है, हम लोग बनाते हैं बार बार रिपीटेटिव। तो ये हमारे लिए काफी हेल्पफुल हो जाएगा अगर कोई टूल मिल जाए हमें तो।
ग्रेट ग्रेट, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू फॉर योर फीडबैक।
और इसके लिए मैम उस दिन दीक्षित सर कह रहे थे कि अगर कोई अपना इंडस्ट्री को मॉडल रोल में देना चाहे, तो मैंने अपनी कंपनी का डिटेल भी भेजा था सर को। अगर आप लोग विजिट करना चाहो तो मैं विजिट भी अरेंज करा सकता हूँ। वहाँ पे हम लोग सारा एक कंप्लीट पैनल बना रहे हैं। सारे पैनल जो है कस्टमाइज्ड पैनल हैं, एज पर कस्टमर रिक्वायरमेंट हम लोग बनाते हैं। तो कुछ ऑर्डर हमारे पास फार्मा के हैं भी, जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस में चल रहा। तो अगर आप लोग देखना चाहो तो हम उसके लिए भी विजिट अरेंज करा सकते हैं वहाँ पे।
श्योर सर, जो आपने डॉक्यूमेंट मुझे शेयर किया था वो आपने सर को भी कर दिया था?
नहीं, डॉक्यूमेंट तो सर को शेयर किया था। सर कह रहे थे ना कि अगर कोई अपनी इंडस्ट्री को या अपने बिजनेस को रोल मॉडल की तरह इसमें करना चाहता है या कोई टूल डेवलप कराना चाहता है, तो
जी
आप चाहे तो हमारे प्रोडक्ट को इसको एज ए रोल मॉडल या एज ए अपने जो है सैंपल के तौर पे ले सकते हो, कि अगर कोई टूल डेवलप करना है या इसको जो है मार्केटिंग का टूल कोई करना है या एआई का टूल डेवलप करना है इसके लिए, तो आप कर सकते हो। आप विजिट कर सकते हो, मेरे प्रोडक्ट देख सकते हो, सारी ड्राइंग शेयर कर सकता हूँ मैं, जो भी जैसा भी आपको हम कर सकते हैं मैं।
सर, आपका नंबर
ये
84390 ऐसे है ना?
हाँ, 000610 है मैम।
तो सर, ये डॉक्यूमेंट जो आपने शेयर करा है, ये मुझे शेयर करा, मतलब मेरे पास ही आया है, तो आपने
ये आपको भी
साइन।
दिया था, पीहू सर को भी दिया था मैम मैंने।
ओके ओके सर, यार वही जानना था। और सर, आप पीसीबी बनाते हैं क्या?
पीसीबी नहीं मैम, हम लोग इलेक्ट्रिकल पैनल बनाते हैं।
ओके ओके।
ओके। हिमांशी सर, अंकित सर ने ज्वाइन कर लिया है, तो
जी, गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. How are you?
आफ्टरनून अंकित सर।
Good afternoon, all of you. Yes. So, are we waiting for other people to join?
हाँ, एक्चुअली वो टाइमिंग थोड़ा चेंज हुआ है तो थोड़ा सा जो अभी मैसेज स्ट्रांगली नहीं पहुंच पाया है। हिमांशी,
यस सर, यस सर।
हाँ, एक बार व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे वापस प्लीज मैसेज डाल दो,
हाँ
ठीक है?
जी सर,
तो
जी।
1-2 मिनट्स और
No
लगा।
problem. We can wait for 5-10 minutes.
यस प्लीज सर। वो वाशने में मेरा भी इनको रिक्वेस्ट किया था उन्होंने, किसी वाशने में हमने रिक्वेस्ट किया था ना।
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
ठीक है।
ठीक है ठीक है.
आई ऑल्सो रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन टू प्लीज चेक योर मेल्स। दोज हु आर रेगुलर, उनको बूट कैंप की इन्फॉर्मेशन मेल पे जा चुकी है। सो काइंडली कंफर्म ऑन योर मेल। और जिन लोगों को नहीं गई अभी तक मेल, इट इज दैट कि उनकी अटेंडेंस रिक्वायरमेंट अभी 75 तक पहुंच नहीं पाई है। सो वी आर ऑन ट्रायल फॉर 1 more week। अगर इस वीक विल ट्राई कि आपकी अटेंडेंस कंप्लीट रहती है, सो हम आपको भी वो मेल जल्द ही भेज देंगे। सो प्लीज एवरीवन ट्राई टू बी रेगुलर इन दिस क्लास। एंड आई थिंक नाउ वी कैन स्टार्ट सर। अंकित सर, कैन वी स्टार्ट?
Yeah, sure.
यस सर।
I hope my presentation is visible.
यस सर।
Okay. So today I think I'm taking up roadmap for planning your investment. So I'll take you through this journey very quickly, and then because funding is something which is of difficulty for most of the MSMEs and startups. I would like to receive as many questions as possible in today's session. So let us start by first understanding that why we are receiving the kind of traction in India, especially related to the investment ecosystem now. So as a country, the way we are positioned as of now, especially post liberalization, we are seeing that we are growing as an economy very fast, and the kind of young population which we have uh, is very high. So the median age of India's population is almost 28.7 years, which basically means that we are one of the youngest nations across the globe, right? And innovation and entrepreneurship is something which is taken up mostly by very young people. So we are positioned demographically in a very strong way across the globe. Then we have seen in the past that the kind of boom which had come in US, and it took around 40 years for US to reach the milestone of 100 unicorns. We have done that in 10-15 years, and every 5 years we are seeing an exponential growth in the number of startups which are being incorporated in the country, right? So we have already outpaced China in terms of the total number of unicorns. The number of VC deals and investment deals which are being closed in India have significantly increased. In fact, it has gone to now 250%. That kind of growth we have seen. A lot of FDI is being pushed through the private equity and VC investment channel in India in the last 3 financial years. So India is emerging as one of the faces of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the entire world now, right? So here in India, the reason why investments are also working out is because already with the kind of unicorns which have come, the ecosystem which has been created, we have seen almost 4x, 5x growth in the VC investments within 1 year. Then more than 44 Indian unicorns suddenly came into picture into year 2021. Lot of companies raised funds at a very high valuation at that point of time. Cumulative valuation of all the companies, all the unicorns and unicorns all together crosses around 400 billion USD. So we are now becoming a giant in ourselves, and all eyes are currently on India as to different kinds of technologies which are coming out from India. Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative has also pushed us to start creating indigenized solutions around the core sectors of any economy, like agri-tech. We are seeing a lot of innovations. We are seeing a lot of fertilizer-based companies. We are seeing a lot of IoT-based agri-tech companies. Then when it comes to healthcare, again, a lot of funding is being provided by departments like BIRAC, where entrepreneurship is being supported in healthcare domain, medical devices, life sciences, pharma. Then IoT based, then AI based healthcare companies are coming up with different kinds of solutions. Similarly, in defense, we are seeing a huge growth of very innovative solutions, which are also cost effective as compared to Israeli companies and Russian companies who are offering similar products. So India has basically emerged as a global player, and the most interesting part of this entire journey for India has been that most of the frugal innovations and critical innovations have come out of the tier 2 and tier 3 cities actually.
Okay.
So if you see that major contributors of the Indian startup ecosystem have come from tier 2, tier 3 cities. So almost 22% of 27 billion worth of funding has been received by startup founders who are from tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? So if you look at the incubation centers also, you will see that all IITs in general will have a ratio of 70% coming out of the tier 2, tier 3 cities, the startups which are incubated, and 30% of the startups are from within that city, including the alumni and professor startups. So 70% of any incubation activity is actually being done by founders coming for tier 2, tier 3 cities, which basically means that entrepreneurial ecosystem is, or entrepreneurship is inherently one of the traits in the Indian blood. Now, trying to understand the kind of returns which we have seen in different asset class. So, if you look at the VCs, for VCs, uh, uh, those who are limited partners with these VCs or those who are serial angel investors, within the last 10 years, if we see, especially from 2014 when the startup India chapter actually took off, almost 25% of return has been realized by VCs in just 10 years of time, as which is very high as compared to other instruments in the market. So there is a very high interest from very structured PE VC firms who are now looking at the Indian startup ecosystem as a long-term game also. So these are again some numbers where we can see that within a very short period of time, between 2008 and 2022, VC investments have generated approximately 31% annualized return. So if we look at the kind of companies which have come out of tier 2, tier 3 cities, we'll see that Razorpay, Shop Kirana, all these. Fool is one of the companies associated with IIT Kanpur. They have come out. They have not come out of Delhi or Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, or these kind of cities. They have come from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities. These founders belong to uh, uh, a semi-urban kind of a city. Similarly, a lot of VC funds have come out very actively. A few glimpses can be seen on the screen where we have now family offices, funds, and these numbers are now growing. So earlier there used to be 91 family offices and funds. Now we have more than 150. Similarly, almost all corporates are now looking to invest in some startups, and they are collaborating with incubators. We had around 677 incubators at one point of time, but right now we have more than 1,000 incubators across the country. So a lot of exponential growth has happened in last 2-3 years itself, and we'll see that within a very short period of time, next 2-3 years, we'll have these numbers actually doubled when it comes to the access of funding for startups and MSMEs. So a lot of times we have been discussing the difference between how startups perceive funding, how MSMEs perceive funding, and there is a lot of discussion around that. These MSMEs have a very me too kind of a product. So looking at the different kinds of questions, the way you can understand the requirements to raise funds from the point of view of both MSMEs and startups, you can see that the funding is usually required at fuel to fuel the growth and expansion, that once you have created a very basic product, you have tested the market initially, now you want to scale your operations. So for that, you need to tap into new markets or launch new products or expand your capacity to build the products. You look at raising funding. You can also, like we were discussing yesterday also, that there could be working capital needs to meet day-to-day daily operationals, irrespective of whether you are receiving money from your customer or not. So for those purposes, you can raise funds. You can also raise funds for research and development within your company. Usually, this kind of funding is supported if there is already validation from the market on the existing product line that you have. Then to obviously to scale your operations in order to meet the demand in the market, you can raise funding either from debt or from VC sources. There could be some new strategic opportunities arising out of these new market opportunities. So to tap into that, one may require funding from these sources. And then finally, to make sure that you are able to fight against the external factors which may affect your business, you may require funding for that also. So these are the main traditional reasons why one requires to raise funds. And if we talk about the challenges which founders usually face, especially for tech intensive startups, is that most of the venture capitals in India are used to fund companies which are into D2C domain or are into supporting aggregator businesses where there is already a precedence of a success. So there are sometimes challenges that early stage startups face when it comes to creating a very disruptive product or solution. Then obviously there is a need for technical expertise because investors usually come from the financial domain. Most of them are CAs and company secretaries who have started their VC funds. So understanding the technology itself becomes a challenge for them. Although now there is a practice of hiring analysts and senior analysts from a technical background where this kind of problem is being resolved. But mostly it is very difficult to make a person who has a business perspective understand how technology can completely change things in a very short period of time, but may take a long gestation period. Then there are sometimes very sector specific funds, and because of the same strategic reasons, are unable to invest in the startups founders vision, which might not be aligned with the sector specific focus of the fund they are talking to. And then finally, there are a lot of issues when it comes to compliances with startups, the way they are managing their finances, the way they have structured the company, how often they are conducting the governing bodies meetings, annual general meeting. So these kind of problems can also create issues, especially during due diligence processes, that a lot of issues arise. So this kind of a problem is usually solved when there is a regular self due diligence process. When you automate a lot of things using AI within your ERP and within your system, so that you have automated the due diligence process at your end itself, and then you are in a ready position when you interact with an investor, especially from the legal and financial point of view. So another major challenge that startups face, especially early stage startups face, is regarding understanding that not all VCs are for them. Some of the startups might approach very big investors like Tiger Global or Sequoia to raise funding at a very nascent stage, and this may create some failures or some delays in raising the funding. So that also becomes a problem. So it is very important to understand that you are able to identify the right set of investors for your company also, based on the sector, stage, the business model that you have. Then, of course, location also matters, because there are sometimes startups who are trying to reach out to VCs who are based out of Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad. So there, because of physical proximity, sometimes it is a challenge for to convince the VC to see the kind of work which is being done by a startup, because a lot of startups are coming from the manufacturing domain also. So this could be one of the issues as well. Although an emerging ecosystem is being built within tier 2, tier 3 cities as well, right? And then another challenge is that sometimes a startup may also struggle because of a certain kind of spike in one particular sector, where in general the sentiment is around uh, receiving good amount of returns. Like recently we have seen that generative AI is receiving a very good traction. A lot of companies who are building foundational LLMs to combat the open chat GPT or other platforms. So there we are seeing a huge focus from VC. So other sectors like agri-tech might suffer for a short period of time, but these are very short-lived problems which often get solved by themselves. Then sometimes unfortunately the process of raising funding is also very slow from VC's point of view. So there are startups who face challenges because of these issues. But one thing, there are few things which you can also keep in mind. So there are these 6 points which you can take into consideration when you are raising funding. One is that valuation concern. So a lot of startups have a resistance that they don't want to dilute their equity at a lower valuation, and sometimes investors also try to get as much of stake the company as much possible at a nascent stage. But usually uh, both the things needs to be balanced in a perfect way, so that future funding rounds can be managed by the founder. Then control and decision making should be with the founder only, and they should raise funding from any kind of source only when they are convinced that they'll be able to properly utilize that funding, because fundraising is just one aspect of entrepreneurship. It does not determine the success or failure of the venture, but rather the execution of the plan in itself determines how well we are able to utilize the funding and create the value which we intend to through our venture. We need to make sure that the investors we are bringing on board are not only helping us in the short term by providing capital support, but also they are able to align themselves with the vision of the company of solving a very large problem, and also can help you in different kinds of aspects by being your strategic partner in the long term. You could also look at diluting your equity to retain talent by issuing ESOP sometimes in the company, or also by bringing on co-founders for the core needs of a startup. IP protection and control is a very important plays a very important role, especially when you are looking at equity dilution. It is of prime most importance that you make sure that all the IPs which are being filed for your product or services are in the name of the company itself and not in the name of the founder. So to sum up, the kind of major challenges startups face would be high capital requirements, long gestation period of creating the product itself, then obviously market uncertainty. We might envision that we'll be able to create an impact in a short period of time, but it may take a longer period of time. Uh, Then intellectual property protection, like I mentioned, is something which needs to be taken care of. Talent retention is another avenue of how you can utilize your equity to retain talent. Make sure that your regulatory and compliances are being met in a timely and proper manner. Then focus on market adoption and scalability, and finally uh, try to avoid technological obsolescence. So these are few of the slides which I'll now share with you, which are critical to raising funding. So AM, SAM, and SOM are three very specific numbers which are very much required when you're raising funding. These numbers will give an idea to the investor that your company is trying to solve a problem through the products and services, where you are looking at how big the entire market is. Then through your product and service, immediately what kind of serviceable, addressable market you can target in a certain period of time, and then what share of market you are looking uh, to capture immediately with the current funding that you are looking to raise. So this is an example of AM, SAM, and SOM from one of the companies who are into creating prosthetic arms and limbs. So if you see that they have very beautifully captured in numbers through various credible sources that how many people are affected globally, below how many people are below elbow amputees worldwide. So based on that, what kind of market size is available in terms of in monetary terms, then what kind of serviceable available market is available within India, and then what kind of immediate within 2 to 5 years, what kind of market could be captured, which is 5% from this particular startup. So this way, the investors get a very clear idea of uh, what kind of money can be generated or what kind of returns can be generated from a particular venture. Another very important analysis is competitive landscape analysis, where you very discreetly mention almost all the competitors for your product and services, and you try to highlight in this slide as to how your product or services are different. So in this particular slide for Agronest, you can clearly see that they have mentioned the name of the competitor, followed by three major parameters, which is one is related to the cost, that how much all of these devices are costing for the customer, then the kind of technology which is being used, then the kind of test capacity their devices being able to do in a day, and the presence of these companies, right? So they are very clearly bringing out that their pricing lies somewhere in between the lower priced chemical based test, but also better than the AIML ones. Then in terms of the time being taken by them, they have very clearly mentioned they are the fastest ones to do the testing, and they have mentioned finally the presence as compared to other companies. So somewhere, if you see very cleverly, they have mentioned that how they are better, and they have included very large companies working in similar domains, and they have now brought themselves into the picture of those same companies also by uh, beating them on the time being taken for conducting these soil tests. Then another major computation is regarding the unit economics. Uh, how much money basically you are going to make out of the products and services, irrespective of the kind of funding you are able to raise. So these are two examples. One example on the left side is that of Noka Arc, which is into manufacturing of ventilators, and they are selling it to businesses. Whereas Mild Cares is another startup which is into women hygiene project products, and they are selling their products directly to consumers. So in both the cases, if you see, they have very clearly mentioned what kind of end user price they are keeping for their product, then how much margin is with the distributor, how much revenue comes to the company after distributor's margin, what are the cost of the goods being sold, and their entire gross margin, right? And similarly, for D2C companies, these margins will change, but they have mentioned very clearly what are the indirect costs, what is the market focus, how they are planning to sell, and what kind of margin is there when it comes to D2C product, right? So this will help in understanding the investor that even if there is not an immediate, or even in long term, if they may not expect an exponential growth, but because the unit economics are working well for the company, the investment is going to stay safe, and they may start receiving dividends after 10 years when the startup has graduated from being a startup. So these are different parameters for fundraising which may be considered. So these are the few risks which investors look at when they analyze a company. So one is of course the market risk. So as I have shown you the presentation and the slide for one of the startups as to how they have uh, answered these questions, that whether it is addressing a large and growing market in terms of the numbers, then whether the problem they are solving or the product they have to offer, whether it is a nice to have or it is a must have kind of a product, then are the founders well versed with the competitive landscape, right? And what kind of advantage or USP the product is having, right? So these questions will cover the market risk. These are the apprehensions which investors look at when it comes to any kind of pitch deck. The other risk is related to the product itself, that whether there is a very definitive core value proposition moat associated with the product itself, whether the product is something different or they are completely different in its true nature, whether the product is a very disruptive idea or it is an idea which is realistic when scalable or when scaled up, right? And then finally whether it can be whether the founder can defend the product in the market once they achieve a scale, so that competitors cannot create copies of the product, right? This could be done through IP or trademarks or other kinds of legal means. And finally is the execution risk, which is basically assessing the team itself, whether they are capable of scaling up the operations of the company or not, whether they have the clarity of understanding who are their target customer, whether they have received customer validation in some form or the other, how skilled the founding team is, what kind of different skill set they bring on the table, and what kind of role they themselves play in the startup. Then whether they are able to understand the difference between P&L and cash flow, irrespective of generating profits in their books, they should be able to create cash within the company, so that in case there are any disturbances, they are able to handle the situation. And finally, there should be a very clear plan and roadmap in terms of when you are planning to raise funds, how you are planning to raise funds, all of that. And the biggest risk which any investor looks at is the founder itself, whether the founder is a leader by trade or a manager, whether they are able to understand the need of the other team members, whether they are empowering other people by delegating work or trying to do everything themselves, whether they are able to understand that the money which is being used in the company is being justified as whether it is coming from the customers or from the investors, how they are using this funding, uh, whether they are able to learn from their mistakes as they move forward in their journey of entrepreneurship, how they are taking the feedback from the customers to improve the product and services. So these aspects are looked at from the investor's point of view, right? So with this, I think I'll stop the presentation now, and we can have the question answer session. So any questions that you may have, please feel free to ask me.
I think it's a very well, it's a very heavy topic हो गया है investment.
What is the most important also?
Yes, sir. आई थिंक कुछ स्टार्टअप भी है इसमें साथ मैं देख पा रहा हूँ, तो आपके क्वेश्चन है तो आई थिंक यू शुड आस्क द क्वेश्चंस राइट टाइम इन द राइट प्लेस एंड राइट विद द राइट पर्सन.
Sir, as we are exporter, sir, my voice is audible.
हाँ रितुल जी, आप कुछ पूछ रहे हैं? हिमांशी प्लीज मॉडरेट दिस.
यस सर, रितुल जी पूछ रहे हैं, वो बता रहे हैं कि ही इज एन एक्सपोर्टर एंड देन ही विल कंटिन्यू द क्वेश्चंस.
Sir, as we are exporter, and so,
आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं है रितुल जी.
sir, we are new exporter. So, sir, how can we raise fund for export purposes? Or is there any system for funding or not for exporters?
So you are asking basically that whether you can raise funding as an exporter or not. Yes, you can do that. There are many companies which are working in this domain only, but there has to be some angle where you are not simply trading. If you're simply trading, then unfortunately that will be the only option which you can use to raise funds. But if you are looking to raise funds through VCs, then you have to create a unique value proposition. So something unique you have to do in exporting. It could be an aggregator platform, or an export platform, like one of the companies which recently approached us. They have built an agri-based platform for exporting their exporting different kinds of goods.
Sir,
Yeah.
yeah, I basically am not with the textile and animal garments. So what can I take USP so that we can fish the species or
I am unable to hear your voice.
Sir, you
Can
can
you type
type,
your
sir, you
question?
can type your question in the chat box or write in the group. I'll convey to the sir.
आप ग्रुप में वॉइस मैसेज भेज सकते हैं रितुल जी.
हाँ जी सर, आप वॉइस मैसेज भेज दीजिए.
हिमांशी कोऑर्डिनेट कर देगी.
ओके सर.
टिल द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन ले लो बेटा.
So anyone else who want to ask some question to sir? सर मुझे पूछना था, जैसे आपने बोला कि एकदम से बड़े इन्वेस्टर्स को मेल नहीं करनी है और वो करना है. शायद ये गलती मैंने करी होगी या आई डो नॉट नो, ऐसा कहते हुए अच्छा मैं बताती हूँ क्या हुआ था. हमारी टीम ने एक्चुअली 200+ इन्वेस्टर्स की लिस्ट निकाली थी, और जब हम बिल्कुल हमारे स्टार्टअप को शुरू हुए 4 मंथ्स हुए होंगे, तो हमने उन सबको मेल करी थी अबाउट आवर स्टार्टअप और उनको इनवाइट किया था इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए. हालांकि अभी तो बिकॉज आई वॉजेंट अवेयर कि गवर्नमेंट की सारी पॉलिसीज होती है, तो मुझे उस वक्त जरूरत ही नहीं थी किसी इन्वेस्टर के पास जाने की. लेकिन फिर भी उन्होंने उन 200 को मेल करी और एक का भी रिप्लाई नहीं आया. सो शायद वो अप्रोच ही गलत थी, आई गेस।
क्योंकि उनको पता था कि ये गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम्स है और आपको वहां से फंडिंग उठानी चाहिए।
ओके।
तो तो अलग अलग स्टेजेस पे अलग अलग वीसीज रोल प्ले करते हैं। शुरू में आप अगर फंड रेजिंग करना चाहते हो तो आप एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स के थ्रू करो। एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स में भी यू कैन रीच आउट टू एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट नेटवर्क्स। बहुत सारे एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट नेटवर्क्स होते हैं, जैसे आईपीवी है, इन्फ्लेक्शन पॉइंट वेंचर्स, या इंडियन एंजल नेटवर्क, या आईवी लीग वेंचर्स। ऐसे बहुत सारे एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट नेटवर्क्स होते हैं। चेन्नई एंजल्स हो गए, चंडीगढ़ एंजल्स हो गए, राइट? So what they will do is that they will take your case, they will help you raise funds from their network of angel investors। वहां पे सब लोग 10-10 20-20 लाख रुपए डाल के आपको 50 lakhs to 1 CR की फंडिंग दे कैन प्रोवाइड टू यू इजीली, राइट?
ओके।
देन नेक्स्ट स्टेज में वंस यू हैव डन दैट फंड रेजिंग ऑफ प्री सीड, तो सीड और जो आपका प्री सीरीज ए वाला राउंड होता है जहाँ पे आप रेज करते हो 5 CR to 8 CR, for that you can reach out to VCs। now there are various VCs, there are micro VCs also जो 50 लाख की फंडिंग प्रोवाइड करते हैं। तो बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द कैटेगराइजेशन ऑफ VCs कि किस, विच आर द VCs विच आर इन्वेस्टिंग इन D2C कंपनीज। क्यारी में किस किन लोगों ने पैसा डाला है अभी तक, राइट? तो आप उनके इन्वेस्टर्स को देख के यू कैन टॉक टू देम। they might not invest in their own portfolios competitor, but they will definitely guide you that you can raise funding from this similar kind of VC which is looking for a company like you।
ओके। ओके Ritul sir, have you typed your question or have you sent it anywhere? I cannot see it in the group also.
No, I have not read any question. I will ask later.
From what I could understand, Ritulji was asking that he is into textile business,
Yeah,
right? And you are looking to raise funding for the textile export business only,
yeah.
right? So if I am assuming that you are yourself exporting textiles of your own company, or you are sending white label also
My
textiles,
speak available both. White
both.
label or my agriculture. Yeah,
So now that you have been doing this for a very long time, I am sure you understand the market and the need of the customers, right?
yeah.
So
Basically,
based on that, can you explore creating a platform where you can list the customers also, and the suppliers can also be listed there, and you can become a facilitator, which you are already doing right now, but use technology to do that, right? So that is a very good idea, and there are many companies which are doing it, and there is a huge market also.
so how? The basic question is how.
So for that you need to get incubated with your idea. You need to dedicate time, create a plan around it, create a problem statement, then create a solution, how that solution will look like, how that solution will feel like. Look at the other companies which are doing this. For example, in agri-tech, you can look at one of the IIT Delhi's company, Agri Vijay, राइट? तो वो लोग क्या करते हैं, जितने भी फार्मर्स की रिक्वायरमेंट की जो भी चीजें होती हैं, फर्टिलाइजर्स, पंप्स, ट्रैक्टर्स, जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट होती है वो सारे उनके प्लेटफॉर्म पे लिस्टेड होती है अमेजोन की तरह। और उन्होंने जो उनका यूआई यूएक्स है उसको फार्मर फ्रेंडली बना रखा है, तो फार्मर्स कैन प्लेस ऑर्डर फॉर दैट ऑल्सो। तो यू कैन ऑर्डर प्रोडक्ट फ्रॉम देयर। तो ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म्स ऑलरेडी बने हुए हैं, तो आपको बेसिक से मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, लेकिन आपके अपने अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बेसिस पे, और आपके जो बायर्स हैं उनके अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बेसिस पे, आपके जो वेंडर हैं उनके सप्लायर्स हैं उनके अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बेसिस पे, यू कैन क्रिएट योर ओन प्लेटफॉर्म ऑल्सो, and it will not cost you much money because these companies are usually very low on the capital side। आपको कोई फैक्ट्री नहीं लगानी है, आपको कोई ऑफिस नहीं खोलना है, you have to just build a platform online, right? So that you can do।
Okay.
If you are part of this program, I would suggest that you start from there only।
I'm a part of this program. From starting.
तो अभी आप लोग आईआईटी दिल्ली आओगे तो आप मिलना, फिर तब तक कुछ आइडिया थोड़ा कंक्रीट बना के लाना। अब इस लाइंस पे मैंने आपको 2-3 एग्जांपल भी दे दिए।
So basically, I'm working to start doing market exposure. 14 to 17 हमारा next है।
मुझे आपकी आवाज अब आ नहीं रही
थोड़ा
है।
वॉइस पे कुछ स्ट्रगल हो रहा है ऋतुल जी, नेटवर्क में नहीं रहती है, डिवाइस में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, माइक्रोफोन में आई थिंक। यूजली आपका आवाज और बहुत ही लाउड और क्लियर होता है।
सर वैसे मैं 14 to 17 हमारे टेक्स्ट में एग्जीक्यूट कर रहा हूँ। 1 minute।
Himanshi, can you communicate if you got the question?
No, sir. I'm really sorry, but I cannot understand. Not understand.
Okay, sir.
And
All right.
now the voice is clear. Can you repeat the question?
बेसिकली मैं 14 to 17 में भारत अटैक में एग्जिबिट कर रहा हूँ।
अच्छा, आप आ रहे हैं यहाँ पे?
टेक्सटाइल में भारत टेक्स।
भारत
14 से 17 के बीच में।
भारत टैक्स हो रहा है वहां पे, तो उसके लिए उन्होंने अप्लाई किया हुआ है।
सर कंफर्मेशन कम आ चुकी है।
हाँ, वो बिल्कुल सर कोऑर्डिनेट गाइड भी कर रहे हैं तुझी को। मुझे ये नहीं, मुझे अपडेशन हुआ था आपके बारे में।
जी
तो ठीक है, एक बार आप हो आइए, और आगे नेक्स्ट टाइम हम लोग IT दिल्ली चलेंगे तो
अगर
ऑब्वियसली
17 को आप
हाँ।
मिल सकते हो मेरे से IT दिल्ली में, तो आप आ जाइएगा। मैं 17 को रहूंगा ऑफिस में।
ठीक है सर। सर सनी
फिर
सनी को लास्ट है फिर नहीं आ सकते। 14 to 17 वहाँ पे हमारा प्रेजेंस होएगी। 18 से फ्री हो पाएंगे।
ओके।
इट्स थैंक यू अंकित सर कि आपने ऑफर किया खुद से कि तो ये दिस इज द वैल्यू एडिशन फॉर आवर प्रोग्राम कि IT का दिल्ली आपको इनवाइट कर रहा है सामने सामने से। और अदरवाइज हम लोग वैसे भी आपको लेके चल ही रहे हैं, तो बस थोड़ा कोऑर्डिनेट कि वहाँ पर कोऑर्डिनेशन एक हमारे लिए चैलेंज हो रहा है, क्योंकि सब लोग वर्किंग हैं और एक ट्रुप को साथ में ले जाना। तो बट स्टिल वी हैव अ प्लान, और वी आर फिक्सिंग द शेड्यूल एंड डेट्स एज वेल विद IT दिल्ली। तो और क्वेश्चन को ले लीजिए प्लीज। बिकॉज सेम मैं आपके साथ बता दूं, सेम अश्विन जी ने भी मॉडल डेवलप किया है AI पे। तो जब वे आएंगे तो उन्होंने भी एक हमारे इंडस्ट्री के लोग हैं उनके लिए एक पूरा प्रॉम्प्ट और पूरा डेवलप कर किया हुआ है एज ए कैप्स्टोन प्रोजेक्ट के तौर पे। तो वो दोनों चीजें हैं, तो मे भी कि वो आपका एक्सपर्टीज मेल करके कुछ एक एग्जांपल सेट करे बाकी और इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए एज वेल। अलका जी, क्या कोई क्वेश्चन है आपका?
नहीं, कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है अभी के लिए। तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द सेशन, एनलाइटनिंग सेशन अंकित जी।
थैंक यू।
अलका जी, शायद आपका SCM में रजिस्ट्रेशन है ना?
Yes, sir.
हाँ
Yes.
जी सर।
आज अच्छा, आज आप भी का रिक्वेस्ट आया था ज्वाइन करने के लिए?
जी जी।
या ओके, ग्रेट ग्रेट, वेलकम।
Okay, I think then I'll take your leave.
या
If
ठीक है,
there are no
ओके।
questions,
या
right?
या ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर,
Thank
थैंक
you.
यू वेरी
Thank
मच
you
फॉर
so
दिस
much,
होल
everyone.
वीक, एंड डेफिनेटली वी विल ज्वाइन विद यू एंड अगेन।
Sure, sure, sure.
या ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर,
Most
थैंक यू
welcome.
पार्टिसिपेंट। अभी 4 o'clock का आपकी फिर से क्लास में, प्लीज ज्वाइन।